Hi, everybody. We're on week 3. Week 3 is social structure theories and social process theories. On this one here, we're going to look at what prompts individuals to commit crime in our society. Are we giving them carte blanche when we put a label on them, saying we don't expect any different from them because they're this or they're that? One of the labels I like to always think of is ADHD. I'm ADHD. I embrace it. It allows me to multitask. I never took it as a crutch. I took it as something that helped me to do my job and do more jobs. Did it get in my way at times? Certainly. Did it make me a criminal? Never. I still had choice. I still was able to make rational choice. I was able to sit there and weigh the good, the bad, and the evil. Very often we'll have people say, I've seen this very often in court, well, he's ADHD or she's ADHD, and this is why she committed these crimes. And I think of like my daughter when she was young, and she was like 2 or 3, and the neurologist said if we don't take, really grip of what her issue was, that she would become a criminal. In fact, he wrote it into her paperwork, and I was like, at 2 or 3, you're labeling my daughter as a criminal because she has a neurological disorder? Clearly, they did not know her. At 2 or 3, she was determined to do the best she could, and she is brilliant. I could not be prouder of her. And by the way, she's not a criminal. So we're going to look at this, and we're going to say I'm giving you the PowerPoints for this chapter as well. So you'll have those. We have to look at what is the difference between deviance and criminal behavior. It's a key to understanding these chapters. And what does that mean? If someone is deviant and they do something in your brain is not right, does it make it okay if they have a deviance? We have to look at that. What is labeling theory? And one of the things I look at is Aurora shooting or the Las Vegas shooting or any of the school shootings. Typically, if it's a white male, you're going to find that people will call them crazy. But if it's a black male and it's Chicago, then it's a thug. How did that labeling change? How does that labeling, how is it different? And it is different. To me, it's like they're saying, okay, well, he couldn't help himself. He's crazy, but he's a thug, so he could have helped himself. So I think labeling, we need to really think about how we say things and how we do things. I hate the word thug. I think it belongs nowhere in any reporting. I think that I don't like the word crazy either because I think so often people get away with their behavior because they give some little, diagnosis to it. So we need to look at those. I'm going to go to, this is going to be part of your PowerPoint. Biological trait theories. So I'm going to go over this just a little bit. Personal characteristics make each person unique. Their biochemical makeup, their genetic code, their neurological condition. And then you add social environment, which includes parents, peers, schools, and neighborhood. What is the difference between all of that on you and someone else you know? How does that influence who you are? If you brought up poor, how does that influence how you handle people? If you brought up rich, does it give you entitlement? I look at those and then we bring it right down and its ability to learn and achieve. I think how we treat our education and our kids in education. I sat there and I look back at my own kids' schools. Both of my kids are very successful, but they went to a school that's over 50% poverty. And I looked at what the school did for both my kids, and it was much different than what happened in the district that was wealthy. I look at my daughter's classroom. She had to go to computer because of a neurological issue, and they had one outlet in the classroom because the school was so old. So there's no comparison when you have a school that not only has air conditioning, but it has outlets and computers for everybody because it was part of the grant they wrote. How do we make it fair? Where do we make it equal? And how, as a parent, can you fight for that equality? Then we look at that. Then we take the human behavior and we add in that. And you either conform or you commit crimes, they say. So what would be the outcome? How do you determine that outcome? When they go further, they'll look at the biochemical conditions in crime: diet, hypoglycemia, hormonal influences, androgen, testosterone, premenstrual syndrome. I cannot tell you how many times I've had people say to me on different fights, well, she was PMSing. Okay, or lead exposure. Lead exposure is very, very serious, and most people don't realize that it's out there, but it does cause severe neurological issues. Environmental contaminants. I want you to look at these and see how do they fall into play. The brain structure. There's all kinds of studies having to do with the brain structure as well, and brain chemistry. There we go with our ADHD or conduct disorder. Um, XXY theory. Look at the conditions that are around, and does that give a person the right to commit crimes, or does it give them areas that we can deal with and work with? So it's not an easy chapter by any means, and that's why I gave you the PowerPoints to help you. Genetics and crime, parental deviance. So I mentor kids now, and I think this is kind of, I don't know, comical, but I have kids whose parents actually asked me to be their kids' mentors at the school because I dealt with them when they were in trouble. And they felt that I was no nonsense, but yet I was empathetic to what was going on around them. So I get those kids. And then I get the kids whose parents will come in and say, I don't want Figgy because she arrested me. And, I'm like, well, if I arrested you, you did something wrong. And we look at that and we say, so parental deviance. I have about 4 kids right now whose fathers or mothers are just outright jerks. They've committed so many crimes. And then the other parent is like the perfect angel parent. And I always say to myself, thank goodness for that angel parent because they made it just a little bit easier for this child to do better. There's all kinds of adoption studies that are out there, and there's twin behavior. I happen to be a twin, and we are total opposites, absolute total opposites. She's stubborn, I'm not. She's thin, I am not. She's blonde, I was never blonde. We have our behavior is completely opposite of each other. If you cross any of her children or you said something bad about me, you're dead to her and she will let you know it. She has no problem. So it's actually kind of fun to look at. They did a lot of studies on the both of us when we were younger because we were also one of 7 kids. And again, all of us were kind of different. And I don't know if that's a great way to put it that we were different, but we were all kind of different. And we all grew up very strong, opinionated women, not always agreeing on the same opinion, more often than not agreeing. So, anyways, I hope you enjoy this chapter. If you have any problems, any questions, feel free to call me. Again, the questions you have are going to be what prompts individuals to commit crime in our society? What are some of the things that make them commit crime? Why is there so much crime in Chicago versus Longmeadow, Massachusetts? Um, is there more domestic violence in Chicago versus Longmeadow, or is it because nobody reports it? And I'm only using Longmeadow as, because it's a pretty residential community, very little business involved in there. It could be any community. If you live in a neighborhood where you're not living next to close to each other, can you hear if there's domestic violence going on versus living in an apartment building? We have to look at what are the impacts on what happened in society that has changed it. What's the difference between deviance and criminal behavior? Good luck to you. And I also want you on your individual, do you believe the labeling theory is valid and defend your position? Have a good week.